Economic empowerment is very important for every human being, including refugees. You need to have money, you need to be able to take care of yourself, you need to be able to take care of your family. But try as you may, sometimes you might put your all into trying to look for a job, but nothing comes up. And the harder you try, the more you notice that there are some limitations that apply to you as a refugee that don't apply to others. Today, we are going to be talking about unveiling the canvas ceiling, the many reasons why you as a refugee might be having a harder time to find a job than your friends, or the barriers to economic integration or workplace integration for the refugee. Hi, my name is Sigiro. I am a doctor by profession, but I have been a refugee my whole life. Let us dive into this topic. Yeah, please subscribe. Let us grow this channel. Many of the points in this discussion are going to come from the 2020 study, which was Unveiling the Canvas Ceiling, a multidisciplinary literature review of refugee employment and workforce integration. The main points in this study organized the barriers to workplace integration into three factors. There's the individual factors, there's the organizational factors, and there's the institutional factors. Today in this video, I'm naming it as a part one, we're going to look at the individual factors. The first thing that comes on individual factors is the gender. When they did their research, they found that more women were having more difficulties in finding employment. Just because you're facing the canvas ceiling of the refugees does not mean you're exempt from the glass ceiling of the women workforce. Things that were lacking mostly in the women, they were less exposed to education, they had less work experience. Sometimes it could be just the culture that did not allow them to go and work. And other times, mostly in the case of refugees, if the resources are limited in who should get the resources to go to school or who should get the resources to go and get the experience to be able to get a job, many families will prioritize the male child than risk or bet on the female. That's how come we usually have these discrepancies. What can we do about it? It's high time people realized that even the females have potential to contribute to the family. So as refugee families, let us not put hindrances or barriers to our girl children and think only their brothers are able to contribute. There's great potential in your daughters, and even organizations are able to help out, especially for women, girl child education and girl child employment. There are many opportunities that can be there if we allow our girls to be able to stand on their own and bring positive contributions to our society. Let us allow them to shine. The second one was age. I remember the day I turned 25, and then I saw this advert that was saying, no, we once used to work in our company, but 25 years or less. I was like, oh my God, now I'm too old. If two people have the same qualification, the companies usually choose the one who's younger. I don't know, maybe illusions of having more room to grow, more energy or something like that, but usually they favor the younger generation. Most people who are forced to move from one place to another because of a conflict, and they even go with their papers, if they are older, usually there's a barrier, or they found that the young ones who move without any qualification and then go and study in the host country had better chances of being employed than the older ones who came with their documents. There's no age limit to learning. You can always put yourself out there and try and acquire the skills that are needed, especially if your family depends on you. You have to step up and do the best that you can. Let age not be a barrier. And if you find a job opportunity where the only thing that's disqualifying you is the age, don't be afraid to apply. Just apply. Whether the company recruits you or not is up to them, but do your part and present the best that you have. Third one is language. Forced migration usually has no pre-planned destination in mind. Yes, you might think, oh, generally, I want to go to this country because maybe there are immigration policies are better, I have a better chance of being accepted as a refugee. And then you find yourself there. But there was no pre-planning, in that you did not have time to learn and assimilate yourself in the languages that are there. Either the official language that you're supposed to know, or the local language that your neighbors are going to be speaking. So this becomes a barrier to employment when we see that most official, let's say if you're going to work in an office or in the hospital or somewhere like organization or institutions, they want you to be proficient in their official language. Usually they aim for like a C1 or a C2 level of being able, and that's like fluent. You can speak it, you can read it, you can write it, you can comprehend it. It might come as a barrier where you have the papers to prove that you're able to work, but because you're unable to know, you don't know the official language that they use there, you'll be you yourself won't have the confidence to present present your papers, and they might be reluctant to accept you, because communication is the bedrock of almost everything. And also for the like local languages, being able to speak the language is the first step in integration in any community. So for you to be able to speak and talk to your neighbor, to speak and talk to your work colleagues or someone, is the first step. When they understand what you're saying, the fear of who you are, no, that one looks strange, different races, different cultures, always in a hijab or what, it becomes easier if they can understand what you're saying and they can see that you're putting in the effort to learn the language. There are some people who you move to a different country to go there and seek protection, but you form a community of your own. And then I think the biggest fear is that if you let go of your language, the children that you raise in that area will not grow up with your language. But I don't think you should be closed off because of that fear, because you can always speak your language at home and let your children learn it from you. But yourselves, you should be able to speak the language of the people where you have gone to, so that they can understand you, and to be able to like form bonds with your neighbors, with your workmates, and it will foster integration. So language learning is very important. So if you're finding value in the content so far, please subscribe. Let us grow this. Like, share, comment. What barriers did you ever face in trying to learn a language? Or what important factors do you think I haven't yet mentioned? Yes. The fourth factor is social networks. So when it comes to social networks, there are two types. There's the horizontal network between people of the same level, refugee to refugee to refugee to immigrant, like that level. And then there's also a vertical network. If a refugee sets up a small business, they are more likely to employ their own refugees, like refugees from someone from their community. It helps them, and at least it gives them a sense of dignity as they are working. Assimilation is better with another refugee, so they give them opportunities to start and to learn. If someone has a shop or arts and crafts or a restaurant or something, most immigrants provide employment for the other immigrants and even for the locals. The vertical networks, that is like connection to UNHCR or another NGO body or the government, that most of the formal jobs, like information on formal jobs or scholarships, run in the vertical connections. I'll give an example of the time Cavendish University in Zambia and UNHCR came together to form a scholarship for like 200 students to university, like fully funded academic scholarship. And the problem that they had was like they failed to find 200 students. Now you can't tell me that in a country with that big population of refugees, you can fail to find 200 qualified students to take up the scholarships. No, it was a lack of information. So if you're not in that network, some opportunities will be passing you that are very beneficial There are people who've gone to work in, let's say, Canada or even Australia, and we don't know how they got there, but because you don't know, you are not connected. There's the pathways, the Italian scholarships, there's pathways to Germany, there's pathways to France, and there's project sponsorships, and there's scholarships that are all on the ground, but very few people apply because very few people know about it. So find a way to get connected, to regularly ask your UNHCR office if there are any of these available. And if they are, you apply for them. Keep checking online to see if there's any opportunities that are available so that you have your ears on the ground. And once you find that opportunity, disseminate it to your community, because in case if you are not eligible for it, someone else can benefit from it, and then you all benefit as a community. Be in the habit of helping each other out. The fifth factor is psychological. When you say a refugee, this is the point that I can say it separates us very much from the local population, the citizens that we go and find ourselves in, that we find our neighbors, our colleagues. It is the psychological aspect, especially from those first generation refugees, the people who are the ones that survived the war or are the ones that went through the trauma. They usually have, let's say, paranoia, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and those things can act as hindrances to workplace integration. Even if you do find a job, the level of energy that will be required for you to integrate yourself is draining in some people. And then you might find that someone was a very high performing person where they came from, and then due to the war, they find themselves, let's say, in the camp. And the only way for you to eat is to line up and go and get food, or like be reduced to the level of a beggar. And most of those people suffer humiliation, because sometimes even when you're an asylum seeker and then you want to get the refugee status, the only time someone will ask you about your story is so that they can gauge if you suffered enough, or if your type of suffering qualifies for you to be a refugee or something. Opening up wounds not to heal them, but to see if they are wounds indeed. It takes a toll on your psychology. And very few people actually like talking about their experiences. Mental health is a big thing among the refugees, but very few people will actually address it to see if anything can be done about it. For this one, I can say, yes, it is. It is not your fault. What you went through is bad. It takes a lot of strength for you to be here, but don't look down on yourself. You are still important. You still have a lot to contribute to the community. No matter what anyone can say, you're still a valuable part. You survived for a reason. Don't give up. You've come too far to give up. Take care of yourself psychologically and stand up when you're ready. Work when you're ready. Our last point is motivation. There's this thing, it's called a paradise complex. You have this thing in your mind. My life is bad right now. Let me move to this country. Things will get better. Especially even for those who go and get resettled in European countries, because you have the promise that when you get there, things will be perfect. And then you get there and there's a different set of challenges. You face those challenges and there's a different set. No, get educated. You get educated the level of a PhD and you still don't have a job. And you can't say, let me not hope for something better, because hope is the one that's hurting. Because without hope, you have no motivation to do anything. And if you don't have motivation to do anything, our lives won't change, and we need them to change. Try and make sure that the hope that you have for the future does not overcrowd the experiences that you're having right now. Take each day as it comes, and then each challenge as it comes. Do not be discouraged when things that you hoped for don't happen. It's that's the way life is. We fall and we stand. What puts winners and losers apart is that losers fall and stop playing. You're a winner, you're a survivor. It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up after you fall. Keep being motivated. If any of these were helpful, I have 2 more videos that are coming, so please subscribe and watch out for part 2. Like and comment. Thank you.